Hey everybody, welcome to episode 11 of Industry Influencers. I'm so excited because I have the super fantastic, wonderful Neelofer Basaria here. She has 20 years in the healthcare industry, and she went from having a six-figure steady job to being her own entrepreneur, and that is such an inspiring story. I had to bring her along today. So Neelofer, tell me about where you're at and kind of your experience.
Well, the transition from my job to entrepreneurship was not easy.
Okay.
Let me tell you that. And I'll talk more about that, but ever since I have transitioned, it has been an excellent journey. There is not a single day of regret. Now, it was difficult because actually I had a pretty good life. I had an excellent team of people that I was working with, a very steady and stable job, was making good money. So there was no reason to, switch or change. Life was good. Now I've been in healthcare for past 20 years through my education and experience. I did my master's in biochemistry, and then I did my master's in health promotion, and then I did my doctorate in public health practice. And I started working with, nonprofit, and then went to the for-profit world to kind of design and evaluate, huge public health programs in the area of cancer, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, behavioral health, mental health, all of that. But as a little girl, I always wanted to work with people one-on-one or in a small group to kind of impact their life. Now in my 30s, I was given this diagnosis of prediabetes. I had very young children at the time. And my family, my mom died of diabetes. I have a strong family history. I lost some of my aunts and my uncles on my maternal side to diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So getting that diagnosis was a wake-up call for me. I looked at my life and, I was studying, I was working, I was being a mom to two wonderful daughters, was taking care of my home and my husband. So there was a lot that was going on in my life and too much stress. I was juggling through life.
Yeah.
And meditation and mindfulness came to me when I was 10 years old. My parents taught me that. But it really rescued me when I was 30, juggling life and struggling and stressed out.
Yeah.
And through my, training in human biology and biochemistry, I knew that it's not only the genes, but it's the environment that we provide to those genes that help them express and show all these chronic conditions in us. So I worked on myself, I worked on my stress, and I changed the environment, I changed it through food, and I completely reversed that condition. And today, 8 years, all my blood reports are normal.
Wow.
Everything is back. And, I started working with my husband, and he has much stronger history of diabetes and heart disease than me because his mom was diagnosed with diabetes, gestational diabetes, when she was pregnant with him. So he was actually exposed to the disease in the womb.
Wow.
And so it started showing up for him, much earlier and much stronger. So he was, he started being fatigued and tired, and then it went on to where he was sick, say 2 weeks out of 4 weeks in a month. And, developed a lot of allergies. And of course, progressively his blood reports were getting worse and moving towards, diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So I started working with him, and there was a lot of chronic inflammation that was going on in his body. So we healed his gut, and gradually he started, reversing his condition. And his endocrinologist and his cardiologist were amazed and shocked by what he has done for himself. And while I was working with him, I was also working with, a few colleagues and some friends, with their health goals, and be it in the area of overweight, being obese, or, cardiovascular conditions, or diabetes, or chronic pain. And then there were some people who had a lot of stress because of relationships and, career. So as I would work with them, I see these transformations happening with them.
Yeah.
And they were either reversing their conditions, or they were taking stress and dealing with stress in a completely different manner. So that's when it hit me that, oh wow, this is my purpose. And this is what that young girl was wanting. At that time, I didn't know what was this. And that's when I felt that, oh, this is what I was looking for, and this is what my purpose is. So I started working on this while I had my job, and I was doing, on the weekends and evenings, I would just work with people. And then when a time came when I said, I think this is, that voice was so loud that I was like, this is it that I have to do, and I cannot spend one moment doing anything else but this. And that was a time when the transition occurred. And, it was very difficult because I had a steady job. And on the other hand, I had fear of unknown. What will happen on this side? But when I got attuned to myself and I listened to myself and I answered my calling, that's when I made that transition. And like I said, ever since, it's, there's no looking back.
Yeah.
It's an excellent ride.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of depth in that, because it's not just transitioning from a steady job to something that's unknown. It's you and your family went through some life experience that really took you to a new level of trust, of faith, of trying new things with your health. And then because of the success that you had, you wanted to help other people. And you found that helping other people with their general health, with that new, true living, just with mentoring and sitting one-on-one in group sessions, like you said, it was really that kind of brought you alive, and that became your calling. That's fantastic. Congratulations first.
Thank you.
I know that you've been in this endeavor for a while, so it's awesome to see you make that jump, because I'm sure it was scary. It's scary moving from something that's secure and stable to something that's like, you want to go out there and you're just not sure.
And a lot of us go through it.
Yeah.
So it's, very common.
That's true.
But you have to listen to yourself and be attuned.
Yeah.
And say, okay, now this is the time.
That's true.
That I have to make that shift. And
Yeah.
everybody determine that for themselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it takes
right
that initial
time.
decision. Like when the time is, it takes that decision to go from that safety net, to go from that security, to take that risk. Well, let's go ahead and dig deeper. I know that you've kind of told me off camera a little bit more about what you do. Is there other facets of the true living that you wanted to explore and talk about?
So, the way I work with my clients and the people who want to come and work with me is first I look into, okay, what are your health concerns?
Okay.
And what are the things that you want to work on and you're ready to change? So, because that's very important. If you're not ready to change anything, then nothing will happen. So we first determine that. Once we have that, then what I do mindset training of the person. So, because if our minds are not focused and they're not organized, we won't be able to achieve things, and it definitely affects our productivity. We know our brains function in deep states of focus. So once, I work with people to give them that training and they organize their mind and they get that clarity, that's when they become attuned to themselves and their bodies. And, our body provides a lot of intelligence to us, a lot of wisdom to us. It's that we have to be attuned to ourselves and listen to it. What we do is we go outside and we look for information on what is the latest diet that's out there. And what is my friend doing, so I can adopt that and see if that's working for him, it'll work for me. Well, we have different bodies. What may work for you may not work for me. So I do not believe in dieting, period.
So eat all the cake you want.
I don't believe in dieting, but you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Your body gives you the wisdom and insight. And once you're attuned to your body, you decipher for yourself what is good for you, what kind of food is good for you, how much sleep do you need to feel rested.
Yeah.
It's different for different people. There's not one size fit all. Okay, so I tell you that, Trey, these are the foods that are good for you, these are the food that are bad for you, this is going to cause a lot of inflammation in your body. But then once you're attuned, you decipher, I ate this, 2 hours after, how do I feel? When we are in hustle, bustle and stress, we don't recognize and realize that. But when we are attuned to ourselves, our body gives us that wisdom. So we don't have to copy anything or from anybody, or take this diet or that diet. We have to just listen to our body, listen to the wisdom that it provides, and the body tells you what is good for the body.
Yeah.
And once, so then what happens is, not only on the cognitive level you understand what is good for you, but on a very visceral level you understand what is not good for you, right? And once you know something in your bones that this is not good for me, it is easier to get away from that, because you're not only understanding here, but you know it here, right?
Yeah.
So that's what is part of the program. And then the program is quite holistic. When I work with people, it doesn't only go into food, which is extremely important to provide you nutrition. You are what you eat. But on a deeper level, our lives thrive or struggle based on how we show up in a relationship. Whether we are satisfied in our career, whether we have found exercise that we truly enjoy every day, or whether we are spiritually connected.
Yeah.
So the program is designed to touch on all these important aspects of life, and that's why it's truly transformational. So what people do is, throughout the program, they make small shifts. And then over the course of a few months, those small shifts change into, big changes and transformation where they're reversing their conditions, or they are dealing with stress in a completely different manner.
Sure.
So that's how it happens.
That's a good point. It makes me think of a quote from actually someone we had on our show earlier. He said, he quoted Plato. It was really that don't discourage someone who's making progress, even if it's a little bit at a time. Something like that. I'm getting the verbiage all screwed up. But you make those little goals in those steps, and they become a path, and become a journey.
Exactly.
It makes me think I should be eating a little bit less ramen noodles and going to the gym a little bit more. But that's why I need her program. Right. Thank you again for sharing that. I want to learn, because again, you took that step to walk into this endeavor, and you've been doing it now. How have you kept the momentum? How have you kept, because again, you can encourage people to take the risk, but people are like, great, then what? So what's that then what for you for when you make that transition?
Well, for me, I am true to the purpose, right? So seeing these transformations in people, that is that keeps me going. That is the food for my soul, that is something that keeps me going. And then again, believing in myself, believing on my purpose, and then staying true to my purpose. That every day, that keeps me going. If you have a strong purpose and you know what you're doing and you are completely true to it, you will get up next morning and you will go for it.
Wow.
So that's like intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
That is very important to do. The work that you believe in. Yeah.
And that's definitely a common theme, I feel like, for the people that we've brought in the past. You can find ways to be successful, or you can find ways to fight through it, but if you don't have that heart, that why, I think Jessica from our from an interview a little bit ago, she said you need to know a white hot why. It's not just a why, it has to be freaking burning, man. And so having that intrinsic motivation, like you said, really make sure that even when it's struggling, even when you're trying to find those little victories, like it keeps you going to find the next one and keep growing, because you can make it.
Exactly.
And that's why we have this series, is to show people that you can make it in your industry.
Yes.
And for the viewers out there today, what's maybe like 3 things, whether it's experience or just tips of knowledge or wisdom that you've learned? What are 3 things that you want to share with your audience today about entrepreneurship and growth?
Yes, absolutely. So the first and foremost, I would say that know what is the problem that you're solving.
Okay.
Know your gift and know what is the problem that you're solving. How are you going to solve it? Be very clear, in that understanding. And once you have that clarity, once you know what you're solving for people, how you're helping them and how you're impacting their life, then do not be afraid of working hard.
Yeah.
And, working smart, working your best. Be true and sincere to your work, I would say. So then I will say that, believe in yourself.
Okay.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you.
That's true.
So it's very important that you don't get overwhelmed by this is where I want to go and this is where I am and how am I going to go from here to here. Do not get overwhelmed by the final outcome.
Yeah.
Just take one step and then the next step, and then the universe will guide you towards your next step, and you will get there. But if you see it from here and you get overwhelmed,
That's so
then
far
that
away.
will then that will be difficult. And then last but not least, I'll say, do not sit behind or hide behind your computer. Go out there and meet people.
Editors, I'm guilty of that. But you're right. You need the
Go
people
out,
part.
go out and meet people, make connections, talk to the world what it is that is
Yeah.
your gift and how are you going to solve the problems, and go make presentations, make connections, because those are the things that are going to propel you to your next step and that next step. So
That's awesome. So really quick, I want to honor the Trade Group and give them a proper shout out. They offer branding services and stuff for your showcasing if you're traveling and you'd like to display your business. They have a lot of excellent options. So make sure to visit their Kelso location to see a lot of different options. Stephanie Chavez with marketing would be happy to get in contact, and I'm sure anyone on their team would love to assist you in any way they can. But Neelofer, how can people contact you? You obviously have a great wealth of knowledge and are passionate about what you talk about and what you encourage people with. Where can people find you online?
well, they can directly email me at info@truelivingforlife.com,
Okay.
or they can visit my website, truelivingforlife.com, or I have a web page for my business which is called as True Living, not True Living for Life, but
right
True
there,
Living.
by the way.
Yes.
Right there.
And they can personally message me. They can contact me that way. So
Perfect. So definitely a lot of different options to get in contact with
yes.
you.
Uh-huh.
So, well, Neelofer, I am so honored that you spent your time here today. It was such a blessing and a privilege to have you on board.
Thank you.
You definitely have a lot of great experience and some great things to share with the world. So, so thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, make sure to like and subscribe. We got a new industry influencer every Wednesday at noon on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Make sure to check it all out at Trey Hernandez Media. So, but thank you all for tuning in this week, and we will see you all next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.